Welcome back to Spearman Studios. My name is Nicholas Jennings, and today we're going to be talking about a film called Godzilla, King of the Monsters. It's the third film in the Kaiju verse and takes place after the events of the 2014 Godzilla and 2017's Kong Skull Island. The film follows Monarch as they and the whole world are questioning what to do with Godzilla and the other emerging kaiju. Some want to coexist, some want to destroy them, and some eco-terrorists want the kaiju to kill everything so that the Earth returns to the proper stewardship of the monsters. It's funny how nowadays, more and more horror directors are being hired to make big blockbuster films. I mean, first we had James Wan do Aquaman for WB, then you had David F. Sandberg do Shazam, and now you have Michael Dougherty, who is familiar from Trick or Treat and Krampus, doing Godzilla King of the Monsters. And all three of these films, of course, came from Warner Brothers Pictures, and all of them had some level of enjoyability. I personally am a fan of Michael Dougherty's work, as he had made the cult classic Trick or Treat, and then later on in 2016, I think, he did Krampus, which was a fun homage to Gremlins, and I do think it's a little bit more cynical in how it approaches the subject of Christmas, but regardless, he is more of a low-budget filmmaker, and this is his chance to make a high-budget film. And I have to say, it's pretty decent. To start off with, visually, it is probably one of the most spectacular films I've seen this year. The way that they have the details on Godzilla and the other monsters is just beautiful to look at. I do suggest that if you do go watch this movie, go see it on the biggest screen you can, because there's so much detail that they put into the character designs and the character models that it's almost impossible to see it if you have it on like a smartphone or a small laptop. I mean, just see it on the biggest screen you can. You will get a lot of detail. It's vibrant in a lot of its color schemes, especially during the fight sequences. The fight sequences themselves are very entertaining, even if they are few and far between in certain aspects. And this is one of the best looking blockbusters of the year, in my opinion. It is definitely one of the most vibrant, very fun to watch sort of films. The music, also by Bear McCreary, adds to the sense of grandeur and scale to the conflict at hand. And some of the score is just beautiful to listen to, man. And of course, the standout of the film, to me at least, is Ken Watanabe, who plays the scientist of Monarch who's been studying Godzilla for a long time, and he has a pretty substantial arc. I mean, he's not necessarily the deepest character of them all, but when it comes to the characters at hand, he's probably the best in terms of character, because his character motivation is very, very straightforward, and I really appreciated him. And he almost kind of made me a little bit teary-eyed in one part. Not going to say when, but it's the closest that we have to a character arc in this film. And going from here on forward, my mind kind of splits into two frames of reference. My first side is my analytical side. The side that just wants to say that the story and the majority of the characters is ranged from bland to confusing. Because, to be honest, we've seen the story of eco-terrorists wanting to destroy humanity. We've seen that kind of stuff before. And we've seen the arguments for all that before, you know? And the characters don't really have a lot to do. I mean, they're even kind of boring in aspects. I'm kind of surprised, for one thing, that they managed to get a pretty substantial cast. And they all play the characters, like, correctly. Right? They're all decent actors. You have the actor who played Tywin Lannister from Game of Thrones. You have Mia Farmiga, who played Lorraine Warren in the Conjuring universe. You have Millie Bobby Brown, who played Eleven from Stranger Things. You have a pretty substantial cast in this movie, but it's kind of unfortunate that some of these actors don't get a lot to do. For example, Millie Bobby Brown in this film is just a daughter that's in distress for a majority of the movie, and she has almost nothing substantial that really adds to the plot other than one key sequence. And aside from one twist that happens towards the end of the first act, there's nothing surprising in the story whatsoever. The story is kind of basic, but also kind of wacky. But then you come to my other side of reference, the other frame of reference, which is my childlike wonderment, and it's, oh yeah, no one really goes to see Godzilla movies for the story. Because if you look at every single movie, including the original, none of them have ever made sense. I mean, you mean to tell me that nuclear waste could, like, enlarge in an iguana to the point where it's able to sustain itself, to manage to stay upright without the appropriate materials going in to actually feed them and sustain them for years to come? Yeah, doesn't quite work out so well. So, in my mind, there's two frames of reference, and both of them are equally valid, because the story here just doesn't make sense. But on the other side, you got cool monster fights, and you get to watch it. So if you're going into this movie wanting a monster fight, you're going to get it. You're going to get very substantial monster fights. But the problem is that those fights, the monster stuff that you actually get to see, is only 20 to 30 minutes out of a 2-hour film, which I feel is a detriment to the film. Because if you're going to have a big monster fight movie, have it be a very big monster fight movie. Like, what if... There's plenty of things I could suggest, but I'm going to keep this as spoiler-free as possible. Mostly because my family is going to go see it tonight, and I don't want to spoil it, and I've already seen it last night, so I'm not going to say much of anything. But I'll save it for another video where I talk about, like, what you could have done better in terms of the writing for the movie, how to structure it better. But yeah, that's about it. It has a lot of fun elements in it. I still highly recommend it for Godzilla fans, because me as a Godzilla fan, I still love the film. It's still fun. It's dumb, but a lot of them are dumb. A lot of the Godzilla films are dumb. And at least it's better than the 2014 Godzilla film. So with all that out of the way, I'm going to give Godzilla King of the Monsters a C-. It's still fun to watch, and I hope you guys will enjoy it this weekend. Thank you guys so much for watching my review. Check back in tomorrow for my review of Rocket Man. See you guys in the next video. Peace.